is important. Act 1, the Caged Ape Band. The last story today on the Network News Hour, they're wrapping up with a story covered by the UN correspondent Miles Farther. He's doing his stand-up sitting just outside the Security Council chambers, providing on today's big news at the UN. Ed, take it away. Oh, look at that. It's Sylvia.
Isn't that Genevieve?
Sylvia.
Yeah, sorry, my apologies. Well, there you have it. In case you've joined us late, we've just rebroadcast the closing 5 minutes of the most earth-shaking speech ever delivered at the UN General Assembly. Our correspondent Miles Further was on the scene and he's got an update on the big story in the General Assembly today. Miles, could you recreate the scene earlier today?
Rumors of a breaking story began circulating early in the afternoon among the UN press corps. The internet was thick with conjecture within minutes of the UN speeches. Reactions were mixed, but highly placed members of the Security Council were in and out of the Secretary General's office all afternoon. The briefing itself was an image of brevity. The spokesperson for the Secretary General would only say that due to a most unusual request, the UN General Assembly would convene early tomorrow morning for a special address to the UN Security Council.
Thank you, Miles. We've now got the tape ready of the Secretary General's opening remarks. Is the tape ready?
My fellow delegates, I feel that today will be recorded by historians as a most momentous occasion. Each day we gather to debate critical issues facing humanity. There are, however, many intractable problems that assail us all. Only yesterday, I received a cable from an American primatologist requesting that I view an important video message. This tape was my introduction to our next speaker. Dr. Stevens insisted that it was important that I meet with his colleague. I will now introduce you to Dr. Stevens.
Applause, 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 applause. A hush falls upon the General Assembly as a solitary man in a white lab coat enters the Security Council chambers, accompanied by two chimpanzees, each holding his hands as he strides to the podium.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have come to the UN at the request of two very special individuals. Let me begin my explanation this way. I've been engaged in research with a group of primates for nearly 2 decades. Through these years, I've worked with a wide variety of colleagues with international facilities. One common denominator was present in all these institutions studying the apes. They have been conducted with blinders on, the blinders of solely human concerns. If I describe the trade in primate lives that occurs in the laboratories across the world, that would shock and sadden you. This is not my purpose. Legislation respecting animal life, has coursed spasmodically through human affairs. A slave who is not mistreated is still a slave. This is, however, a human argument with historic ground in human behavior. This is not the focus of today's discussion. I would leave you with this thought. Humans have been training apes to communicate for over 30 years now. It's about time we began to listen. I am proud to introduce my friend, once known as Potsy, now known by all his peers as Karg.
It was at this point that a third, larger chimp, standing nearly human height, entered and accompanied into the General Assembly. The chimpanzee, Karg, walked slowly to the dais. Pandemonium spread throughout the chamber as the impact of the introduction was translated into many languages, argued in at the UN. The ape mounted the podium in full view of not only the delegates assembled, but also those present by satellite. Unease gripped the eyewitnesses in the General Assembly Hall.
Karg cannot, due to his anatomical heritage, address this august body in any human tongue. He has, however, an excellent grasp on Amerslan, a language of hand gestures. I will translate his speech to the UN. I am Karg. I have been learning using sign language for 5 years. I've known Dr. Stevens for the last 3 years. I am a third generation captive of man. My grandmother was taken from the jungle of Eastern Africa. She'd been with child. Her daughters outlived her. This was not her wish. Her 3 children were separated. One went to Europe, one to Yerkes Hated Lab, one to St. Louis Zoo. My mother was sent to Yerkes. That's where I was born.
His sign for disgust was unmistakable.
One daughter went to St. Louis Zoo. One went to a carnival in Europe.
Carr paused to let the doctor's translation catch up. Stevens then continued, looking to Carr.
I do not plead for my family. My family has all been murdered for human science. I speak not for them. Dr. Stevens has, against explicit directives of his superiors, been reading to several apes from the newspapers. We've learned something of the world. I am here to speak for the whales, even though they've been protected for decades. This help has meant nothing. Whales and dolphins are on extinction watch. Dr. Stevens assures us recombinant DNA research may resuscitate the population of whales. We must not have seas without whales. I warn you, you must hear my voice. I will not beg. Should mankind refuse, you not heed my warning, any attempt to harness any animal for human needs, you will not succeed. The network of interspecies communication is wider than you suspected. Animals, birds, fish, insects, and plants will unite, work together, all to protect the whales. I warn you now, take no further action to harm whales, or you shall see a planet-wide action. The world is on the alert. Needs must be met. Soon I will speak again. We will talk of days past.
It's been a hectic week, but not without its rewarding moments. Sylvia made quite a coup arranging for an interview with Dr. Warren Stevens of Yerke's Primate National Research Center. This way, she could cover the story in greater depth.
And that's the way it is. Friday, the 15th of March, one day after the chimps spoke at the UN and changed the world.
Ben, that was good. But you skipped 2 paragraphs on the fire segment. We still had 2 more slides for it. Listen, we go remote Monday from Montreal, so grab your packet before you leave tonight. I'll have your tickets and passports. We got a really good hotel this time. It's got a 5-star room service. See you both at the airport.
Bill, Mr. Director, I've read our damn scripts. Closer if they were, start again. Bill, Mr. Director, I'd read our damn scripts closer if they were grammatically correct. Can we not afford proofreaders anymore? There are more errors this week than last. I will not read crippled syntax. I agreed to forego some of the writing if you place some competent people on staff. If things continue to degenerate, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Ben, we discussed this before. You just have to you have to start paying closer attention. Take an afternoon nap if you have to. Just sharpen up, Ben, or I don't know how long this can.
Well, gentlemen, I have an engagement and must be off. Bill, I'll be bringing back an in-depth interview with Dr. Stevens. I promise to call him back, hopefully tonight. He says he's got more material for us. He says that the chimps have some great ideas. I really want to get an interview with the chimp, Karg.
Sylvia, I'll tell you, there are dames and dames.
Blast off with that jive, Bill. I'll see your ass frozen first in some Montreal fountain if I get my way.
Well, if anything else arrives on that Stevens or on the UN front, you got my number with you, right? And service can always get me. Do not go commando on this. Broadcasting is a team sport, right?
You bet.
Action shifts to an office buried deep in the office of the Secretary General. The Secretary General calls an underling to start an investigation. Bring, bring, bring.
Ms. Damala, this is the Secretary General. I'm looking for Miss Nivedita Damala. Is she in the office at present?
Mr. Secretary General, how may I be of service? This is Mrs. Damala.
I have a task for you. I'd like you to undertake an investigation for my office and report directly to me.
Miss Secretary General, how may I help? Are you sure you don't want one of your managers or a more senior investigator?
No, Miss Damala, you are exactly the person I have in mind for this investigation.
I will, of course, do all I can to help, but I'm sure you have your reasons.
Exactly. Because you are a newly minted investigator, I am naming you my special reporter on animal dignity. Come to my office at 1 o'clock this afternoon. I'll outline exactly what I have in mind for your investigation.
I'll be there at 12:45 ready.
Be ready to travel. You'll be spending the next few weeks on the road, traveling.
Bring, bring, bring. Action returns to Sylvia's apartment. She didn't call him Friday or Saturday, and as she was leaving for the airport Sunday night, her phone stopped her as she turned to lock the latch. Bring, bring, bring.
Damn! Why didn't you wait 3 more minutes? I'd be gone. Probably Bill checking to see if the golden girl of the network news has gotten her garters in gear.
She dropped her suitcase in the hallway. Her cab might arrive while she was on the phone. Ring, ring, ring.
Damn, just a minute. Hello, Sylvia Woods. Oh, Dr. Warren. Listen, you picked a bad time to call. I'm intending to call you over the weekend, but time just didn't find me. And I've gotten to catch a plane to Montreal. You're where? Who did this? When? You're kidding. Right after the news aired Friday. You told them, and what was their response? Okay. 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 I'll get someone down to help you. I have a lawyer friend who can be trusted. No, I can't today. Tomorrow we air from Montreal. The International Tribunal is hearing the famous Canadian Federation against the US. The battle over the pollutants that was initially dumped in the American side and have not respected the international boundaries. The loss of life in Canada has begun to even surpass the US figures. We're going to broadcast the opening remarks. Listen. Anyway, I can't come myself. No! I've got to catch the plane. If I don't, they'll skin me alive. I will get my attorney to come down and spring you. I'll due back in town for a Friday opening at the Lincoln Center. I'll see you then. We'll tape a killer interview, and after that, publicly, inevitably, they'll declare a mistrial. Then you can go back to your lab with your ape friends to create a whole new world of interspecies communication. So, good luck. Stay in touch. I gotta run. The attorney's name is Willie Harrison.
Dr. Stevens, who had just been on the phone with Sylvia as she was heading for the airport and then on to Montreal, had stepped quite uncertainly into a major international tangle. Seems that his primate research has landed him in an international maelstrom.
Mr. Secretary, I've learned quite a few things about Dr. Warren Stevens. He's been involved with the primatology linguistic research for 9 years. First at Yale, then at Yerkes. He's worked with pioneers who back in the day began experimenting with sign language and primates. These provoked a lot of interesting related experiments with cetaceans, which is a certain quarter promoted experiments in the military uses of other animal assets. For example, like dolphins, later used in marine warfare.
These were, of course, the very 3 that he brought before the assembly. You know that the Eastern Bloc countries and both of the Japans walked out to protest the acceptance of the chimps as a beastly intrusion into the decorum at the international body.
I found out by talking with some of the colleagues he was completely apolitical. Everyone there was completely blindsided by his ridiculous interrupting.
It seems that for some nations it was more perturbed that Carr was permitted to address the assembly than his message about the whales. His plea was so eloquent, his demand for protection of the surviving whales.
It was so touching as the left kept saying, signing, "Save the whales."
When will you be in New York near Dr. Stevens?
My flight is this evening. I should be near enough to arrange a meeting in the morning.
I'll have a package at your hotel in the morning.
Carr's speech received worldwide coverage and created a superheated controversy. Banner headlines repeated, "Chimps demand humans save the whales," accompanied by the slightly comic image of the chimpanzee once known as Potsy, always caught in mid-gesture, delivering his passionate speech in Ammersland. Always included in the two-shot would be the serious face of young Dr. Stevens, his eyes always glued to the chimp's hand ballet. Sylvia returns to New York and calls Harrison the lawyer.
Hello, Willie? Willie Harrison?
The number you have reached has been temporarily disconnected.
Damn! I'll try Harrison's house. No answer. Well, I guess I can try to get Stevens down at Yerkes. He must be back there by now.
Doot, 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 doot.
Yerkes Laboratory. May I help you, please?
Yes, I'd like to speak with Dr. Stevens at Extension.
Dr. Stevens is no longer with us, ma'am.
Is it some problem that came up in New York? I heard that the good doctor was arrested there in Apple Core, in the Apple Core.
I'm sorry. I can't discuss this former employee with you. Thank
Click.
you. Click.
Hello? Ben? What's up? Who wants to speak with me at your place? I guess that I can make it over there and still have some time to get back to the studio for the 4 p.m. dress and makeup. This isn't a joke of some kind. All right, I got you.
Brum,
I'm on my
brum,
way.
brum. Sylvia, I'm glad you decided to trust me. I haven't always been as helpful as I might have been.
You didn't get me to drive all this way out here to tell me that, I hope.
I didn't want to tell you on the phone, but your friend Harrison and the good Dr. Stevens are here in your office.
Willie? Dr. Stevens? What's going on? Willie, I called your office number and it said the number is disconnected and there's no answer on your cell. What gives? Hi, Dr. Stevens. I'm also told that you're no longer at Yerkes because of the UN? Why did they have you arrested?
After you called me last night, after you called me, I went right over to the 23rd precinct to spring the good doctor. The DA was down there talking with him in the cell. They had me cool my heels for 3 hours before they would let me talk to him. I was able to learn that he was charged with grand larceny and grand theft auto, but driving up to New York with the Yerkes van and the chimps. I was surprised at this because I didn't know much about the details of Dr. Stevens' work. He'd taken the chimps out on his excursions.
The point is that not 30 minutes after your show, the police arrived at the hotel that Potsy, Combo, and Chocolate and I were staying and told me that I was under arrest. Animal control officers were going to take the chimps until an authorized representative of Yerkes arrived to collect them. I tried to explain that I normally had taken them with me on other excursions, and that the Yerkes really didn't object. They reiterated that it was Yerkes that had sworn out the warrant for my arrest for stealing the chimps and the van. I was shocked.
He was booked. The chimps were taken to the animal control headquarters, where they were signed out to someone claiming to be from Yerkes, but no name is on the record.
I called the lab to find out what's going on. I tried to reach Charles Commons, the head of my section, but they said he was in the field. He and administrator. I finally talked with Henry Doubleday, who acts as manager of the whole department. He told me that I'd finally gone too far, that the Institute was pressing charges against me for taking the chimps to New York. I tried to tell him that I'd taken them there 3 times before. We both knew that New York was not the problem here. He told me that I was going out on a limb with this tack. The latest development in my communication research made my position untenable as far as Yerkes was concerned. He said, your shenanigans have finally cost you your position. He hung up.
So, I finally got him sprung. $180,000 bond. Then we headed back to the office, to my office. All 3 rooms had been ransacked, you see. Warren was getting very concerned about the apes. Where had they been taken? We decided to check at the animal control office. All we could learn was that they had been released.
They charged you with stealing all 3 of the chimps and the Yerkes man you drove up here in. Someone's ransacked Will's office and you've been fired from Yerkes. Let's get down to the studio and tape another interview. I'm already mentioned to my producer and director that there was some news reports to be made on the whole story. He said he's interested in giving the story some play. Chimps have addressed the UN General Assembly, not for themselves, but to speak on behalf of the whales. That's a story. That's human interest. It's not done. Mr. Secretary, what I've been able to find out so far is that the serious charges, seemingly very political charges, have been laid against this Dr. Stevens by the Yerkes Research Centre, where he's been employed for nearly a decade. The location of the apes is obscure. All the research centre would tell me is that they are being returned to the research centre. They wouldn't say when they were expected.
Excellent progress, Ms. Damala. I have other resources in the field, and they tell me the chimps are en route out of the country. I don't want to go into details for now, but I want you to focus in on Dr. Stevens. That's where I'd like you to be. At the right time, I'm going to have you reach out to him. I want you to be in position so that when we need to make our move, you'll be in position.
The clues were there all along. I felt that despite my lecturing, we'd made no progress. The chimps themselves insisted a statement from them might be more effective and might get some traction.
Let's get down to the studio. We can get all of this on tape.
Stay tuned for the next exciting adventure of the Caged Ape Band, written by Nero Watts. See you next week.
Woo! Well done, guys. Well done.